The thing that really differentiates Redis is the fact that it runs entirely in memory. This allows us to run these queries, these commands, as we use in Redis, at speeds of memory and CPU, rather than loading it off of a disk. Sure, SSDs have greatly improved our disk access times, but it's still orders of magnitude slower than pulling it out of memory. And being able to pull it out of memory within nanoseconds makes a huge difference in performance. And one of the things that's unique to Redis is because of that, it's really difficult for other databases to be able to operate at that speed. And that's why one of the things that I have seen is people putting Redis in front of every other database out there, just to make sure that they can queue things up and get it into the database at a more reasonable rate.
What differentiates the performance from Redis from other data stores? I think that I talked a little bit earlier about sort of that simplicity of Redis. That's kind of a core component of it. That simplicity means that it doesn't have a bunch of complex queries and stuff that it's doing. And so that ultimately, I think, is what helps make it wicked fast.
If you want things that are really fast, generally you want your website to be as performant as possible. So having that as a caching layer, especially on the front end of things, makes everything a lot faster, always, right? It's going to be more performant than, generally speaking, Mongo or MySQL for, accessing data very, very quickly for reads.
Redis's performance is completely different than a lot of the other NoSQL solutions that we've looked at because it's so high performant. With Redis, we know we can get hundreds of thousands of operations per second from one database. We know the runtime of every operation that we do. And in many cases, it's just happening so quickly that the bottleneck is actually the network or the Linux kernel. It's not the database itself because the database is so solid. And you just don't see that with a lot of other database providers.
It's so simple to use and it's powerful at the same time. You can kind of grow your experience with Redis at your own speed. You can start with 2 simple operations and then grow to using 50 different commands later if you need more complex data access.
So Redis is one of the things that Salvatore has always really, one of his design principles is to keep Redis very lightweight. So that's really make sure that it's very, very highly performant. He typically won't add features, or the team won't add features if it's going to slow down performance at all. So that's really one of the key points about Redis, is that it's so performant, so great for real-time applications.